live, even trying to get away. Trying to lock in the guap, trying to block with the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been plotting a lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box, and I'm copping the pain. We out for the stars, we're a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitch is a jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching already. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know it's a bronze, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like Durant do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, not taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in a great estate.
Welcome back, you football-loving fools. We are here for our Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, Super Bowl 59 is on the cards. Obviously, the Chiefs going for a three-peat. This could be a huge one. Nick Sirianni trying to get his first over the line as well. Big deal for a lot of people here. And Jay, I thought we could just get straight into the Super Bowl previews right now. Just give me 2 seconds.
I got one question, and it's about the Super Bowl preview. Are people going to finally put some respect on Nick Sirianni's name? That's what I want to know. Oh, I didn't hear you. We have some audio issues. If Maddie disappears, it's because Russia kidnapped him too, so pay attention, you guys. He's got some weird shit going on in Lafayette, and he's going to get kidnapped by
It's Putin. I've got you again. It's Putin, I'm telling you. So so Latvia is changing over its electric grid from Russian energy to European supplied energy and those kind of things, getting off the grid. And I'm convinced that Putin is messing with all the electrics in my flat because every now and again, everything just drops out and drops back in again. So sorry about that, everybody. Just a little look into Eastern Europe. Jay, what was the one thing that you wanted to say?
Some people are they finally going to put some respect on Sirianni's name? That's all I want to know. Because this dude gets dragged like he's a big dumb dipshit all the time.
Yeah, is Nick Sirianni the best coach in the league? No, but that's not what he's employed to do. What he's employed to do is get good offensive coordinators and good defensive coordinators around him, and then be the head coach of the team. And to be honest, I'd be surprised. I don't think he's in a lot of the planning stuff. He oversees it, makes sure things are going his way, but he's about G'ing up the team. And as you said earlier in the UJ, he's the guy who faces the media and takes the heat, right, as well. And also he kind of embodies the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I hated this dude after the press conference. I fucking hated this dude, right?
Yeah.
I was the first one to call him a dumb dipshit. I'll be honest. I fucking love this guy. And it's not that he's any less of a dipshit when he gives interviews. It's because he just owns it, and it's absolutely who he is. And people respect that. You've played sports, I played sports. I don't care what my coach's personality is. Just be real.
Yeah, definitely. When I used to play sports, I used to like the kind of coach that is really in the X's and O's, really in the details, because I think that's more me. And getting G'd up before a game, that isn't me. That's not what I do. But I could see the guys around him who I needed to get G'd up so I could worry about the X's and O's and all of that shit. They got G'd up by the coaches who were G'ing people up, and that was really helpful for me. And look, I don't like Nick Sirianni.
Coach that screamed at you. That's where I thrive. The coach that would grab you and just scream it, because they never did it maliciously. It was always about the sport. Yeah. And that after the game, they're the type of coach put their arm around you and be like, "Great job, fucking blah blah blah." I was okay with that. And I'm older, so there was some aggressive shit back in the 80s and 90s, But I was okay with that. But I just always wanted my coach to be real. You can tell if somebody's fake, and I don't think Sirianni's fake.
Yeah, I definitely don't think he's fake. I don't love him as a head coach. I mean, also bias being a Cowboys fan, and he's the head coach of the Eagles. He's taken the Eagles to the Super Bowl twice, but you don't take a team like the Eagles to the Super Bowl twice without being at least decent at your job. And the way that Harry Roseman runs the operation, the way that he has his offensive coordinators and his defensive coordinators, he doesn't need to be the best coach in the world. He doesn't need to overcomplicate things because he's got the best roster there. I think that Dan Campbell and his coaching team are a good example of this. They have one of the best rosters in the league, but they are the ones who are trying to win it. And it's like, no, just let your team go out and win. And that's what Sirianni's managed to do with the Eagles. I mean, I feel like we've jumped in early, but everybody, this is our Super Bowl 59 show. Please like, subscribe, and comment with your predictions of what we'll see in Super Bowl 59.
I'm not saying that's a prediction. I'm just saying that I like Sirianni as a leader of men. I think he does a good job. I never really bitch about his clock management. I don't have a problem with his situational calls most of the time. And but this is pretty cool too on the other end coaching, because this is the Andy Reid Bowl. He was with the Eagles for a ton of years. He was with the Chiefs for a ton of years. Like, this is the Andy Reid Bowl too. I love the storylines in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, the storylines everywhere in this Super Bowl, which actually I was kind of worried that they wouldn't be when the Commanders got knocked out by the Eagles, because obviously that storyline, if Jaden Daniels was there, it's like, oh shit, this is a storyline. But they found loads of storylines with the Eagles being there, and it turns out that this might be a 30-minute Super Bowl as well. But Jay, I thought for our Super Bowl previews, the first thing that we could go through, and look, I've been looking at SEO, I've been looking at some stories that we need to write about Super Bowls and all of those kind of things, is the highest SEO'd thing in Google is what is the best way to host a Super Bowl party. That's the best. That's the number one search thing about the Super Bowl 59 is hosting a Super Bowl party. So Jay, as a longtime Super Bowl watcher, what's your top Super Bowl party food ideas and how to throw the best Super Bowl watch party?
So, okay, I grew up with my parents owning a bar, okay? And they used to pull out tables because they had a big bar with dance floor on the water. So on the dance floor, they'd pull out tables, they'd move the pool table, they'd put a top on it. And bro, they did a potluck. There was no charge to come eat and watch Super Bowls, TVs everywhere. Everybody just bring a dish to pass. I don't know if that's something that would fly anymore in today's society, because people are like weird about other people's food. But I always thought that was the best. You got to try so many different foods. You got to like sit there and drink with your friends and watch it. But my absolute favorite Super Bowl food when I was younger, now it wouldn't fly because I don't eat meat. Meatballs on a stick with that red sauce. Oh fuck, that was and it's not a ketchup, but it's like a ketchup. So I don't know what that red sauce really was, but that was my favorite Super Bowl food.
What's your number one vegetarian Super Bowl food? Because I can imagine that is like people's number one thing. Like, how the hell do I do this on Super Bowl night?
We do.
If I've got vegetarians coming over.
We just do shit like pizza and like taco dip, because taco dip there's no meat in the taco dip, so you can go that way. But see, I'm not a vegan, which makes it easier.
My European mind can't comprehend taco dip. Like, you're gonna have to tell me what the hell that is.
Okay, so it's cream cheese, sour cream, and taco seasoning mixed together, laid out on a pan, topped with lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, black olive, and it's a dip with tortilla chips.
All right, that sounds super American. It sounds good though. Yeah, that is super American. We don't see that over here. I think for me, obviously, British Super Bowl watch parties are a bit different, especially when you're in Latvia, because the Super Bowl doesn't actually kick off till 3 a.m. It's going to kick off the Super Bowl, so won't be watching it with anyone. I'll be like, Kendrick's going to come up at like 6 a.m. Like, it's gonna be fun anyway. So won't be watching it with anybody this year. But what we usually do is we try to make it as American as possible. Barbecue outside, brisket going, burgers, hot dogs, like what the European mind thinks that American food is. And my parents have just come back from Austin, so they actually know what some decent barbecue food looks like now, which is quite helpful. So we'll be hosting a full-on one next year at 3 a.m. But this year couldn't convince anybody.
So next year, Maddie, do your research. There is 3 different types of barbecue in the U.S., and you guys should make something from all 3. It's Texas barbecue, everybody knows, Kansas City barbecue, and Louisiana barbecue.
Yeah, I was thinking about attempting to do Kansas City barbecue and a Philly cheesesteak, especially after you sent me the picture of like a Philly cheesesteak that you saw in London. For me, a Philly cheesesteak is just like steak in sandwich with cheese on the top. Is that not
but it's
basically what
those
it is?
thin sliced minute steaks, like they're the
Right.
real thin, thin ones, or it's shredded. But I think the thin steaks are better.
You saw like the most accurate representation of what people think British food is. Like I wish you had the picture of it to show British food. Like the British food scene is actually unbelievable, so good. But some British people cannot cook for shit. Like the general British population are terrible cooks, but some of the best chefs in the world are British. That's the way that it works.
Well, yeah, because you got I know Ramsay off the bat, like the whole world knows
Ramsay.
Chef Ramsay, right? But
yeah. London is the top food city on the planet. But the general population is horrendous. But anyway, back to Super Bowl talk. That was our top tips for hosting a Super Bowl party. And Jay, I agree with you. Potluck is always the best way to go, right? Like always the best way to go. And then you get to see who's the boring fuck who brings a terrible potato salad. Like if somebody brings an amazing potato salad, then you're great. But if someone brings a boring potato salad, then what the fuck are you doing? And you can just disown them and never invite them again.
And look, if
Jay,
you're the person who brings napkins, you're never getting invited back.
Napkins, that's just not the way to do it. Jay, I think now we should move into our key Super Bowl storylines, the key matchups and tests in this Super Bowl 59. And Jay, I think the first storyline we should really talk about and put front and center here is, have the refs already called in the fix?
Okay, I'm glad we're talking about this. I really want people to wrap their fucking head around about what I am just going to say. For a fix to be in, not only do 150 refs or whatever it is have to be in on this, okay? 31, because the Packers don't have an owner, 31 oligarchs have to agree that, you know what? Yeah, the Chiefs should win it again. The Chiefs should win it again. So all these people who buy NFL teams as a pissing contest, right? Because at that point, you can only hold 31 of them. So it's like, hey, look at me. They're going to be okay with the Hunt family just winning 3 in a row, going to 5 or whatever the fuck it was. That is just so ridiculous of a thought. And the NFL is so big, the only thing that could bring the NFL down is fixing games.
Yeah, exactly. I think with the people who look, the Kansas City Chiefs do get some favorable calls, but I don't think it's anything to do with a fix. I don't think it's anything to do with them going for the three-peat. I just think they play the rules better than most other people, right? Like they know what the letter of the law says in those rule books, and they'll play the rules the whole time. Like Patrick Mahomes knows if he slides late, he will get a penalty. He knows that. The rules need to change, not the Chiefs, not the refs, not the Chiefs. The rules need to change on things like that.
Also, superstars always in every sport get the call, right? Anybody watch basketball? Yeah. So, and then there's an old saying in fighting, which I think it stands true in every sport. If you're playing the champ, you got to knock him out. Like, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt on a 50-50. In boxing, if it's close, the champ's keeping his belt. In the UFC, if it's close, the champ's keeping his belt. If you're playing the Chiefs and it's close, yeah, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. You have to go in and knock the champ out. Superstars get calls. It happens. I mean, how many times have we seen a quarterback who's not a superstar get hit and we're like, that should have been a fucking penalty. And then they're playing across from Josh Allen and somebody sneezes on him and they're like, oh, fuck, there's a flag, right? It happens.
Yeah, the Bills being the team that are calling this out, by the way, the most is like ridiculous because the Bills get like as many, if not more, calls when Josh Allen is. And the thing is with Josh Allen, like Patrick Mahomes is a genuine runner in space, right? Patrick Mahomes is a genuine runner in space, but he's never really going to take contact unless it's like to get the touchdown. Josh Allen looks for contact as well and still dives early. So that's a much of a muchness there as well. But I agree with you, Jay. The kind of people that say that this is a fix are the kind of people that think the moon landing isn't real because and the reason that the moon landing has to be real is it would be cheaper and easier to go and land on the moon than it would be to get everybody to lie about the moon landing. That like it would be cheaper and easier to go to the moon than it would be to get everybody to lie about the moon landing. It's the same about fixing 3 Super Bowls in a row. Like it's ridiculous. You can't do that. It's not eligible. And look, it just destroys the game for everyone else. And I think it speaks. Nick Wright stole my fucking take on this. I think it speaks. I think it speaks to a mistrust in the officiating, the mistrust in like the experts, a mistrust in organizations in America and the world, everywhere worldwide. Like you see it with the way that governments are running countries right now. A lot of people are coming in and taking away, like stripping away, and not to get too political, but like taking away
there's a mistrust
things that have been there for a long time.
Any institution that has any kind of power, and let's not let the refs off the hook too. They are just awful at times.
The refs are terrible. And if you're gonna have 50 to 70-year-old men stood on the sideline trying to call games, then they're gonna get shit wrong. Like there needs to be a retirement age for referees and owners in the NFL. Like there has to be, like, because they're ruining the NFL in a lot of ways in terms of age. In any other career, those referees would have been forced to retire by now. Like there's no reason for them to be there. So you need young referees, which means better referee training programs, which means more respect towards referees to actually make people want to become referees, which means like glamorizing the referee position. Like rugby never has a problem getting referees because the players respect referees, and the WRU backs referees.
The NFL should go after players that wash out of the NFL young.
Yeah.
Like say, guy who played 4 years or whatever, go get him and recruit him to ref.
Yeah, like you guys can make a lot of money, like refereeing. Like it needs to be. And then the other part of this is use the technology more, like allow for more reviews. More open review process will lead to less skepticism because at least we can hear the decision-making process. We can hear what they're saying. And it's the same in rugby.
It does sound like they're leaning into that a lot more now.
Yeah,
going into next year, they're talking about leaning into a lot of this technology.
Yeah, it's the Josh Allen not making the 4th and 1. I personally don't think he did because I don't think he rotated his body into getting the ball across the plane. I think he.
I don't even think he should have had to because I thought they got the first to play before, but that's whole different.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be a fucking question, though, because we shouldn't be using chains to decide how far the ball is. Like, there's too much money in the NFL for this to be a thing. And
chains and 70-year-olds. Cheers.
Yeah, chains, 70-year-olds, no technology. Like, we're not playing in the 70s anymore, guys. There's too much, and with sports betting as well, there's too much money on the line for this. Like, there's too much money on the line.
You got to get it right with the sports betting. That is something. Yeah. Like it was one thing before the gambling, right? But now you got to get it right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I don't blame the refs, and I don't think anyone's calling in the fix. I think the NFL is wrong in the same way that people have mistrust in organizations for a reason. Like people have mistrust in the Democrats for a reason. Like groceries are too high, like all of that kind of stuff. Like you have that for a reason. But that's not the problem that needs fixed. What they've done with the NFL and blaming the refs, that's not the problem. The problem is the other stuff. But anyway, not trying to get too political on this. Although Jay has
technology, and they're refusing to use it.
Yeah, although Jay has gone back to making Real Talk, which is really exciting for everybody. So everybody can tune into Real Talk. We have one of those coming out in a few hours as well. Jay, key players and matchups to watch. What do you think are going to be the matchups that win or lose this game for their respective teams?
Okay, I know it's not a direct matchup because there's a line in between, but it is Chris Jones and Saquon Barkley. Can that offensive line handle Chris Jones to break free Saquon Barkley, or can Chris Jones wreak havoc on that running game?
Yeah, and with Saquon Barkley as well, it's the way he's able to run. He can break to the outside, right? He has no problem breaking to the outside, which you think that, okay, that's the way to get away from Chris Jones. Apart from the fact that Chris Jones is so dominant, he'll burst you before you can get outside. So I would agree with you. I think that Chris Jones versus Saquon Barkley is massive. And I almost think a bigger part of that is Karl Loftus. Can Karl Loftus hem in Saquon Barkley on the outside and pulling him back to Chris Jones? Like, is that a way that they can do that?
But see, that's Saquon's superpower is hitting the hole at the line, going through the line, and then breaking it outside on the DBs, right? So Saquon Barkley's fucking amazing. Like, and I am so happy for Saquon Barkley to make the Super Bowl. I would ask you if you were, but I don't think you are because of the uniform he wears. But other than that, like, I think it's amazing.
As a non-biased pundit, then yeah, I think Saquon Barkley deserves to be a Super Bowl as possibly one of the best running backs of all time. Like, definitely. It's a shame he did it with the Eagles and he's not on the sideline for the Chiefs, but that's the way it goes. Well, obviously he wouldn't be at the Super Bowl with the Cowboys because even with Saquon Barkley, we wouldn't make it.
I don't know. It might have been a whole different ball game if you would have had Saquon, but yeah.
Too broken. Too broken at every asset. It's too painful, Jay. Jay, I think another, like, I agree with you, Saquon Barkley, and can Chris Jones put a stop to that? And can they hem him in? Can they keep contained well? I think also Hollywood Brown versus the Philadelphia Eagles secondary. You saw in the first 3 plays of the Chiefs against the Bills, that first drive, the first 3 plays, you saw exactly what they want to do with Hollywood Brown. They want to get Hollywood Brown off the line release, running inside, open up the middle of the field for him, because the Chiefs opening up the middle of the field is so important. And Hollywood Brown and Travis Kelce were great against the Bills at doing that. But if they do that, and if you commit Kenyon Mitchell to him, or if you commit Cooper DeJean to him, then you have more space for Xavier Worthy. You have more space for DeAndre Hopkins. You have more space for Travis Kelce to operate. So I think if Hollywood Brown is further integrated into the system, further integrated in after his long injury, I think he's the key to unlocking the Chiefs' offense and causing a real problem for the Eagles' defense in terms of matchups. That's the one that I would be looking at the most. Have you got any more, Jay? Any more key?
Well, after listening to you talk about Hollywood Brown, I feel like after they're paying that much attention to Hollywood, that just leaves D-Hop open all over the field.
Yeah, exactly. It's because you've got to take away Travis Kelce. So you've got to take away Travis Kelce. You've got to take away Hollywood Brown. You've got to do something about Hollywood Brown. Xavier Worthy is a gadget player who you can't really match up against. He's not a gadget player. That's selling him short, but he runs that role for the Chiefs, right? And it's a struggle to match up against gadget players. You've just got to make sure you have people in the right position for someone that fast. Which then, how do you deal with DeAndre Hopkins, who hasn't had big production this year, but has come up in huge moments? Like he caught a couple of first downs in that game, and that was enough. The same with Amari Cooper for the Bills, actually catching a few first downs as well.
But it's going to be the same in the reverse. How do you cover Dallas Goedert? How do you cover fucking Smith? How do you cover A.J. Brown? How do you cover Saquon Barkley? Like, I mean, this is why this game is so good, because you got 2 really good defenses playing 2 really good offenses. So, and the offenses play so completely different.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you went at the start of the year and said it's going to be the Chiefs Eagles, I would have said it's not going to be that easy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it never is. Like, it's never the people who you expect it. But I would have gone, yeah, it makes sense, but it shouldn't be. It's not normally that easy to predict. But yeah, the Chiefs versus Eagles, they're the best 2 teams in both their conferences towards the end of the year. I trust more in the Chiefs defense to be able to come up with solutions, and Spags being able to come up with solutions for the Chiefs, for the Chiefs defense against the Eagles offense.
I trust the depth of the Eagles defense to be able to hold up through the game more than I trust the Chiefs not to give up big plays. I trust the Eagles not to give up big plays more than I trust the Chiefs not to give up big plays.
Yeah, and I mean, he converts Saquon Barkley, converts big plays as well. It's like Saquon Barkley is just a freak. Like, Saquon Barkley could be the difference maker. Like,
he's the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, offensive player of the year, obviously, as well. But I think the key difference here, Jay, and the key matchup, and I know, like, when you say this about matchups, they're never on the field at the same time. It's, can Jalen Hurts keep up with Patrick Mahomes. The last time that these two played each other in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts had his best performance as an Eagle. Still came out as a loss, but had his best performance as an Eagle. Can they replicate that again? Jalen Hurts hasn't had to throw for over in every time Jalen Hurts has had to throw for over 150 yards this year, the Eagles have lost. That's what
I was going to say. I think it's easier on Hurts though than it is on Mahomes in this game. Not that Pat can't handle it, but because you have Saquon, I think that makes it so much easier. Like, I like Pacheco. I like Hunt. They don't scare anyone. Saquon Barkley scares you. Like, Saquon Barkley's keeping you up at night thinking about how the fuck are we going to stop this dude?
Yeah, Hunt has a weird ability to just pick up 6 yards.
No, he's
really
good,
shouldn't do.
But he's not making you shit.
He's not Saquon.
Yeah,
he's not Saquon. Saquon is absolutely ridiculous.
You're not worried about Hunt breaking off a 60 at any given time.
Yeah, that's true. And Pacheco, isn't that type of back.
And he hasn't been the same this year coming off the injury.
Yeah, I mean, another 2 weeks
I feel like this is one of those he needs to get into next season to fully be back from this injury.
Yeah. The way that he runs, you can't be taking lower body injuries like that, the way that he runs as well. Jay, the other aspect of this Super Bowl, obviously the big storyline is the Chiefs have got the furthest that anybody has ever got trying to get the three-peat. Just by being in the Super Bowl, they are the closest to a three-peat that we've ever had in NFL history. In the Super Bowl era, obviously before the Super Bowl era, there was people getting three-peats all the time, but that's because there was so many less teams. I think the first,
and they all had to have fucking jobs in the offseason. Let's not act like this is the same NFL, right?
Yeah, also didn't Lombardi's Packers, one of their three-peats finished with the first ever Super Bowl? So I guess, but the first two. So they won the first one when it was in the Super Bowl, and then they won two after that. But anyway, the first three-peat in the Super Bowl era. Jay, how much do you think that could weigh on the Chiefs? Do you think it's weighing on them at all?
No, I actually think they're a really veteran team that's using it as more motivation than weight. But I have to ask you a question. As a Cowboys fan, knowing that you should have 4 in a row, does it just chap your ass to see this happen? That Jimmy Johnson would have stayed, you would have had 4 in a row?
Yeah, that Cowboys team is the greatest of all time. They would have won that last fourth one. That would have been when I was won the one just after I was born.
They won 2, then no, then yes. So they would have won that one in between.
They would have won that one in between. They would have won one when I was actually born. That would have been really nice. So yeah, it is annoying as a Cowboys fan that to see the Chiefs doing so well. Also, just going back to that fix, by the way, if the NFL was going to fix for a team, it wouldn't be for the team in Kansas City. Kansas City is a great city and everything, and people love it, but it's the big market teams. New York wouldn't be so shit.
If they were fixing it, every team would have had a Super Bowl by now too.
Yeah, if they were fixing it, the Jets and the Giants wouldn't. The
Lions would be there right now if they were fixing it.
Yeah, it's like oh, the NBA's fixed. Then why are the Knicks terrible? It doesn't make any sense. None of that matters, right? But yeah, it does hurt as a Cowboys fan.
Don't get Maddie started on Luka, guys. Don't get Maddie started on Luka.
I think that this is the most prepared a team could be for this. And I know if you go back to the Patriots and the Patriot way, obviously they would be trying to not get too high on this. But the Chiefs, I think, are different because the Chiefs are a team of superstars who aren't too high on this. The whole point of the Patriots was no one is a superstar, right? That's the whole Patriot way. So that's the way that they kept the lid on it. Patrick Mahomes is in every advert ever. You see him in even Andy Reid is in State Farm adverts. Travis Kelce is dating the world's most successful pop star, probably one of the most influential women on the planet. They have superstars in that team, but they're still humble. They're still humble and they're still just preparing for this game by game. And I've never seen a team flick the switch, even though they only lost 2 games in the preseason. Well, I feel like the Chiefs do treat everything before the playoffs as a preseason, but they only lost 2 games in the regular season, one of which they were playing their second team to do. And then they flick the switch and it's, and they flick the switch and it's like, the fix is in. They flick the switch and it's like, oh, they're not going to beat the Bills because they haven't scored over 30 points this year. And what did they do? They just score over 30 points. Like,
and if you believe it's
come out and just beat people.
If you believe it's rigged, why are you not betting your life savings on this Super Bowl? And don't tell me because of point spreads, because you can take the money line and still walk away with a profit. And people would be like, well, the profit's not as big. No, it's not, but it's guaranteed if it's rigged. So what does it matter?
Yeah, and if you get only a fucking 3% line on your entire life savings, you still put it down, like, right?
Yeah, it's going to be more than that, right? So you know what I mean? Because this is a close game. Like, Vegas does not think this is going to be a blowout, so the money line's got to be pretty close.
I'd be surprised if either team blew each other out. I'd be less surprised if the Eagles got blown out by the Chiefs. I'd be less surprised than if the Chiefs blew out the Eagles, but that's just because of the way the Chiefs play. Like, the Chiefs play it close, but it's not actually close. Like, I never felt like that game against the Bills was actually that close throughout. I thought they always had it under control. Jay, do you think that Saquon Barkley will win Super Bowl MVP on his birthday? This couple of weeks leading up to Saquon Barkley's Super Bowl has been ridiculous. We'll talk more about it in the NFL awards, but do you think he's the favorite for Super Bowl MVP this year?
Yeah, like, it's got to be him or Pat, right? That are the 2 favorites, depending on who wins. I'm guessing in the Vegas odds. So I don't want to give away my pick just yet. So, but yes, him or Pat got to be the number 1 to win the MVP.
Yeah, it's Saquon Barkley's birthday and Cooper DeJean's birthday as well.
Do you think the Packers just fucking hate themselves for not taking Cooper DeJean? Because I think they hate themselves for not taking Cooper.
I would hate myself if I didn't take Cooper DeJean. That guy's awesome. And I want to see him on the offensive side of the ball a little more as well, actually, because he's a playmaker and everything he's got. Jay, I think the final storyline on the Super Bowl before we kind of move on, we'll give you our picks at the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. We're going to do some NFL award reactions before we give you our picks to the Super Bowl winners. But Jay, if Andy Reid wins this Super Bowl, how far off are we calling him the greatest head coach of all time?
What do you got to win? 6 rings? You got to at least tie Belichick, don't you?
Do you think you have to at least tie Belichick to win? Because do you think the Belichick final year is kind of like puts him out a little bit?
No,
like
you can't. You can't hurt somebody's legacy for 3 years when they had a 20-year run of greatness. Like, that's like it hurt Brady's legacy that his last year sucked balls.
Well, he has a losing record without Tom Brady, though. So it's not just that. It's the pre-Tom Brady and the post-Tom Brady era with Belichick. Okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
He did not won a ring without Mahomes either.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing that I always want to say to people when they put that
I honestly think Andy Reid is a better coach, but I don't know how you call somebody the greatest if there's a dude here. And not only does he have 6 rings, people actually forget he has 8. Because he has 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, too.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing about Andy Reid is if the NFL started to take concussions and CT and stuff like that more seriously earlier on, I think Andy Reid would have more Super Bowls than Bill Belichick already. Because obviously defense is out of the league. Like, we're kind of turning it around a bit more now. Like, defense is becoming more important, defense and the running game again. But defense is kind of like running it like the passing game, and coaches like Andy Reid, Sean McVay,
I get
KOC,
your point, but I don't think he wins with Donovan McNabb. I don't think Donovan McNabb can win those big games.
I do agree with that. It's then if you had those though, then different types of quarterbacks will be coming out earlier. It's obviously stupid hypotheticals. I agree with you. I think to be considered the greatest coach of all time, it's going to be difficult to dislodge Bill Belichick if you don't get the rings.
Andy's a better coach. I would rather play for Andy.
Yeah, I think I'd fight for Andy and then be happy to lose to Bill Belichick. It's when people say like Don Shula and it's like, yeah, he has the most wins, but like most wins is a bit different to the most Super Bowl rings and stuff like that.
And a lot of wins come from what division you're in, how bad your division was. Like, so if you're an average team in a really bad division, you're winning a bunch of games every year.
Yeah, exactly. Like Andy Reid started his coaching career in the NFC East, which obviously is relatively competitive most years and stuff like that. Oh, did he start in the North?
Green Bay. His first year in the NFL was with Green Bay. But besides that, yes, he was in the
NFC. So he played the NFC North. He's been in the NFC North, the NFC East, and the AFC West now. So like they're pretty difficult divisions for a lot of the time with like difficult matchups in there as well. I really like Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid is probably the best coach of all time, I would say. But I'm happy to lose to Bill Belichick just because of the rings. Like it's very difficult to compare.
Andy Reid gives awful interviews because he's a nice guy, but he ain't telling you shit.
Yeah,
he ain't telling you shit about
definitely.
A play. He ain't telling you shit about a play that happened in week 3 just in case he's got to call it.
Although he is becoming more in the media, doing a lot of stuff with
he's a nice guy, he's fun, but he ain't telling you shit. So when you watch an interview with him, you learn nothing.
Yeah. Do you think Andy Reid is going to outcoach Sirianni in this one? Or do you think that's not the matchup? Is it? It's Andy Reid against Fangio.
I think that's an awesome matchup because Fangio has had his number a few times while he was with Denver. So, like, I think this is great, but I think a lot of it comes down to Spags and Kellen Moore. I think that's the matchup to watch because I think Reid and Vic Fangio know each other so well that we're going to see a duel all day. But I think that when you watch Spags versus Kellen Moore, can Kellen Moore keep doing what he's doing and run the ball? Or will he resort back to his quarterback way?
Will he panic?
That's a good way of putting
it. He did it at the Cowboys a lot. You could tell the Cowboys have never had a Saquon Barkley. So if they couldn't establish the run game early, Kellen Moore would panic and go back to his throwing the ball. And obviously we know the stats. Like when Kellen Moore was there, Dak Prescott, I think, only lost 2 games when the Cowboys ran for 100 yards. Right, he lost 2 games when the Dallas Cowboys ran for 100 yards while Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. So most of his losses came once Kellen Moore panicked. If they didn't get up to 50 yards by the first half or whatever, he would panic and go straight into throwing the ball. So I wonder if he panics if the Chiefs manage to shut him down. And we all know that a lot of Saquon Barkley's yards this year have come off the fact that he's ran more 60-plus yard plays than any player in NFL history in a single season and stuff like that. So it only takes one for Saquon Barkley is the difference here.
Is the Eagles' offensive line the best in the NFL? I'm not sure there's an answer, but it's a legitimate question, right? And so by it being a legitimate question and having Saquon Barkley behind it makes that shit scary.
Yeah, watching Dickerson play through the pain and Juergens trying to like get him off, like because Dickerson came in for Juergens because get him off. Pause.
Wait, it's Dickerson and then Juergens is a lotion. So I'm just okay. That was a wild train of fucking words, but okay.
Juergen trying to get Dickerson off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. But sorry, watching because obviously Dickerson came in for Juergens because Juergens had back stiffness at the start of the game, and then Dickerson really hurt himself, could barely even fucking walk, but refused to come off. I was like, yeah, that's Philadelphia Eagles football right there. I was like, yeah, that's what they are. They have probably 2 of the best centers in the league. They just play one at guard and then hard as fuck. Like Jason Kelsey told them all well. Obviously, Lane Johnson is a freak. So, yeah, let's see. Jay, I thought we can move on to some NFL award reactions because obviously it was the NFL awards.
Just quick, I wish Jason Kelsey would have played one more year.
Yeah, me too. Because he could have had.
He's great on TV.
He's class. Like I really like him as a person as well. Like I really like him as a personality. Jay, NFL awards season. Did you enjoy the Pro Bowl? I didn't really watch most of it. I quite like the.
My wife likes this format, like, so it's more fun because actually we watch both days together. Whereas if it was the Pro Bowl game, she wouldn't pay attention, but she likes the challenge type things, and watching.
Yeah, I like that about the NFL. I like that about the NFL's new policies. I think the NFL are trying to bring more fans into the game.
People hate on it. I thought it was fun.
I don't get it.
I was literally really cheering hard for the NFC. Like, I was getting excited when the NFC would win things. It was great to watch Sam Darnold go out there and, because might be, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but it literally might be this guy's only Pro Bowl in his career. We'll see. Maybe he makes it to another one. But it was nice to see him out there after the year he had. It was nice to see Justin Jefferson running around cheering with him and that kind of thing, because I think he's done in Minnesota. But I had a lot of fun watching the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I like this format of the Pro Bowl. As I said, I didn't really watch it this year. I just watched the YouTube highlights of it because it starts at like 3 a.m. So I'm not going to be staying up till 3 a.m. to watch skill games. But I like the new policies of the NFL, getting new fans into the game. I think it does a lot more for that. Obviously, flag football coming up in the Olympics coming up in the States as well. So I think it's a really good idea to play more flag football, to be honest.
Keep your eye open. It's supposed to be the first commercial after the after halftime. It's a 2.5 minute commercial with Pat McAfee, directed by Pete Berg from Friday Night Lights, about flag football. So I'm excited about that commercial.
Yeah, I've seen like a little clip of it, I think, so far.
Yeah, the teaser.
Then, we'll see what it is. Yeah, the teaser. It is the most American shit, by the way, to have teasers for adverts before a sports game. Like, that is the most. The only reason it happened
is because it's Pat McAfee and he put out the teaser.
Yeah, it's like, it is just fucking mental though. Like, Super Bowl ads are crazy. They drive me insane.
They used to be small movies back in the day. Like, they were better back in the day in the production. Yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, I text this in the chat a lot. I think because I watch on DAZN now, which is the American stream. So I go through the actual fucking ads that people have to watch. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, some of the ads are absolutely insane. Anyway, sorry, that's a totally different topic. I was very impressed by in the QB skills challenge. I was very impressed by Joe Burrow. I think he showed like, oh fuck yeah, like, yeah, okay. I almost forgot that you were a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but it is very obvious that you are. Jared Goff was incredibly accurate as well. Obviously got the highest score, but because he had more time bonuses. I thought Drake May did not do himself any favors.
Even be there. Come on, that's
Drake May shouldn't be there, and he didn't do himself any favors.
No offense to Drake May, but the voting is ridiculous. And if he got a bonus for making the Pro Bowl as like the 6th alternative, that's wild.
Yeah, it was, and he didn't do himself any favors with those misses at the end either. It was nice to have a reminder of how strong a ball Baker Mayfield throws as well. Like, that is ridiculous. Watching Baker Mayfield throw a ball, but obviously he was just going for that 5-pointer the entire time and just like didn't get it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I much prefer this format. I think it's a lot better. Jay, the NFL awards as well, I think were very good. I think actually looking at the NFL awards as a whole, I don't think any massive surprises in there. I'm just going to run through them for the viewers, like what we're talking about. So the MVP goes to Josh Allen. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Saquon Barkley. Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain, which I thought not surprising, but a bit different.
Oh, it shocked me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think maybe a bit of a shock there. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, the least shocking of anything, I think. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse, I think perfectly legitimate as well, although Kenyon Mitchell might be a bit closer there. Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow. Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. Congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings. And Assistant Coach of the Year, Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions as well. Jay, we'll start off with the MVP. Did Josh Allen deserve the NFL MVP award?
Sure. Him or fucking Lamar, right? I'm not mad either way. So yeah, okay, he deserved it. I'm not taking anything away from it. It was him or Lamar. I wouldn't have been mad if it was Saquon, and I think Saquon would have won it if they wouldn't have fucked him out of the beating Eric Dickerson's record. But that's a whole other ball game, and he is a way better human being than I am because that would have pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean the voting was incredibly close. Like the voting for Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I think they had about five differences in first place votes. You could have given it to both of them. I think that Josh Allen probably edged the better season just over Lamar Jackson. Obviously, that was helped, like the fact that Josh Allen beat him in the playoffs. But I know that doesn't count towards the MVP voting, but it does feel more justified the fact that Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So I think he definitely deserved to win it. I would have given it to Saquon. I think Saquon has been the biggest difference maker for a team on any pitch like this year. I think every time you watch the Eagles, you go, oh yeah, they're going to win because they have Saquon Barkley, like any of their big wins this year. Jay, apart from not getting the MVP, but he did get the Offensive Player of the Year, has Saquon Barkley perhaps had the best 2 weeks of all time, and this could round out in the Super Bowl victory here. Saquon Barkley has got engaged, won Offensive Player of the Year, and is playing in a Super Bowl on his birthday. I mean, that's everyone's dream, right?
Yeah, I could nitpick that he could be the single season rushing title holder and MVP. But no, you can't get a better week than this, especially. And I think if they put a ring on it at the end, then I don't think he's upset. I don't. If they finish this off with a ring, then I don't even think he's mad. I think if they don't get the ring, though, I think he seems like the pro's pro, but this may be a crack in the the love there if they don't finish it off.
I do feel like the Eagles are always close to that kind of like the way that Philly is, to be honest. Like if you have a stadium full of people who'll give you loads of hate, even though you're amazing and you're like double-digit wins the whole time, but they'll still give you loads of hate if you just do a couple of things wrong. Like that's going to breed bad stuff, and I think they're always close to a crack. But I think Saquon Barkley will be fine there. Yeah, I forgot to list a couple. Sorry. The Walter Payton Man of the Year is Eric Armstead, which is the honor for contributions off the field. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees this year were Jared Allen, Sterling Sharp, making Sterling and Shannon Sharp the first brothers to be in the Hall of Fame, Eric Allen, and Antonio Gates. That is the class of 2025. Jay,
I got to say something about that Hall of Fame class. So everybody was arguing with me and calling me an idiot last year when I said Eli Manning is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay?
Obviously.
You can elect 5. They only elected 4, and Eli didn't get in. Like, I don't want to fucking hear that shit anymore. Like, go at the voters now because I feel pretty vindicated. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like Eli Manning has won 2 Super Bowls, right? Which is fair. But this isn't the Hall of Very Good. This is the Hall of Fame. Like 2 Super Bowls. There are quarterbacks in there that have won 2 Super Bowls, but they've been amazing at everything else that they've done.
He wrote a top defense both times, but he will get in because he's a Manning.
Yeah, he'll get in because he's a Manning, and he's won 2 Super Bowls, both against Tom Brady. Like he'll get in. Also in a huge market, and like had a long career and did like the Giants fell off quite a lot when he wasn't there. They were always like around and about while he was there. Jay, who do you think are the biggest snubs at the NFL award season? Who do you think was like snubbed the most? Who should have got an award that didn't get one in the end?
Shout out Jared Allen, well deserved. We've been waiting for it, but I honestly, and this might sound crazy to people, I think the biggest snub was Brian Flores.
For assistant coach of the year.
I do. I think he was more important to the Vikings than Ben Johnson was to the Lions, but it might be a homer take.
I really love Brian Flores. I did think about that when I was going through it as well. Your quarterback coach is Lamar,
but that's low hanging fruit, right? So
yeah, definitely. Who would you have put? Who would you have put in Defensive Player of the Year? Over who do you think you would have put in Defensive Player of the Year over Patrick Surtain?
Probably TJ. I think TJ gets fucked all the time, right? Like there's some weird voting hate against TJ. I don't know what he did to people, but there's some personal shit with the voters.
Yeah, definitely. I think that TJ does deserve it. I also think that Patrick Surtain did have a great season. He was a
I do too, but to pick a corner over a pass rusher, it's wild.
Yeah, definitely. Derek Stingley out there as well, who wasn't happy that he didn't get it, posting some memes about not getting paid Defensive Player of the Year. For me, Jay, the biggest snub is the greatest linebacker, one of the greatest linebackers of all time, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Carolina Panthers ex-linebacker Luke, and then I can't say his last name. Luke Kuechly. Honestly, like watching him play, he is one of the best linebackers of all time. Whenever you watch any ex-pro talk about him, they say he knew the plays before we ran them. Like he was calling, they were saying, yeah, every time we played it, like 60% of the calls he knew. Like he would call out our calls 60% of the time and get it right. Like Luke Kuechly is the first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
And from everything that's ever been talked about, seems to be a better person than a player too. So
yeah, if they can elect 5, I'm amazed that Luke Kuechly doesn't have a Super Bowl win, only has 1 Super Bowl appearance, I guess, but as a linebacker.
And I think they could have actually picked 2 more because I think Sterling Sharp went in as a senior, which doesn't count as the original 5. But
I reckon. Yeah, what do you make of Sterling Sharp going in as well? Obviously, didn't have the longest NFL career.
Well deserved, though. Well deserved. Yep. If if Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame with 6 years, then yes, fucking Sterling Sharp should have been in a long time ago. Sterling Sharp for 8 years in this league was the best receiver in the fucking NFL, and his time got cut short because of fucking neck injury. A weird neck injury that happens to a lot of Packers players, and it's not the Packers. I'm not blaming them, but it's just really weird. John Jolly, fucking Nick Collins, Sterling Sharp, Jermichael Finley, and those are just dudes I talk in my head with the same weird neck injury, right? That ends your career. But yeah, I think he should have been in, and I think he should have been in a while ago.
Yeah, obviously Shannon Sharp, Shannon Sharp's brother, who's being in the Hall of Fame. I think his rhetoric about Sterling Sharp does help Sterling a little bit, because Shannon says, like, if I could give up my career so that he could have his, I would do it because he's a much better player than I ever was, and those kind of things.
He went to 2 Super Bowls. Like, I don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. Like, Shannon Sharp is telling the truth when he tells you guys, because I grew up watching them both. When he says Sterling is a better player than I was, he's telling you the truth. And that's not to take away from Shannon.
Yeah, that definitely. So I've seen a few people saying, like, oh, is Sterling Sharp really, is it more of a rhetoric pick? And it's like, no, like Sterling Sharp would have been one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen. So if you have the opportunity to be one of the greatest Green Bay Packers we've ever seen, you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's one of those organizations where it's like, okay, it's like the Dallas Cowboys, the 49ers, the Green Bay Packers. Like, if you're one of their best, the Steelers, if you're one of their best players of all time, like, you're going in the Hall of Fame.
I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe there's only 2 players before Sterling Sharp that made the Hall of Fame with less than 10 years. And it's Gale Sayers and Terrell Davis. So if anybody else deserves to be in there under the 10-year mark, it's Sterling Sharp, because he was the man in the NFL for 8 years.
Yeah, very, very impressive, and happy to see him in here. Also, Antonio Gates is I really, really like him as a player.
A dude who never played college ball, who was on a practice squad his full first year. Think about that. Undrafted free agent practice squad, Hall of Fame. That's a story.
Yeah, those kind of stories really get me, man. They're the ones that I love. Jay, going into our final segment of the show to finish off here, we've been leaving everybody on tenterhooks waiting for our Super Bowl picks. Jay, who have you got, and what spread are you going for as well?
I was just going to ask you if you had the spread and what we were using for a spread.
Yeah, let me get it up. I did have it, but because I'm in Latvia, DraftKings doesn't always come up. Yeah. Okay. So we have the Chiefs as 1.5 point favorites.
That's what I have here too. So, okay.
Cool.
Give me the Eagles plus 1.5. They get over the hump. They stop the three-peat. It doesn't happen. Saquon Barkley, 150 plus yards, 50 plus receiving. Mark it down. And they win by more than 7.
All right.
If it's less than 7, they lose. I truly believe that. So that's why I said, I know, I already think I know where you're going, but I'm not going to try to like burst your bubble.
I'm obviously going for the Chiefs in this one. I think the Chiefs are just like the perennial winners of, like, I've never seen a team so ready just to win a Super Bowl and go in with so little noise after only dropping 2 games, going in with so little noise. I think like all the games that they've played in the playoffs to me have been no fuss, like no problem at all. Like I think they always had the Bills under control. I think even if the Bills like Josh Allen had 1:20 even after the problem, like even after the refs fixed the game, Josh Allen still had 1:20 and couldn't go 10 yards. So I think the Chiefs are just perennial winners. I think they win the coaching battle on their sideline as well. And look, Patrick Mahomes, just sometimes if he needs to rush for 70 yards in a game, he'll go and rush for 70 yards in a game. And if he needs to throw for 400, he throws for 400. So give me the Chiefs with the win at 1.5 points there. I do think, though, if the Eagles have to be above 7. Like the Eagles have to be outside of touchdown reach going into the fourth quarter to win.
They're going to pick Patty Mahomes twice.
Love that. We're going to go more into those kind of bets and prop bets and stuff like that on our show on Saturday night for you guys, Sunday morning for me. So for British people watching, that'll be Sunday morning. But it does mean, guys, that you can watch it all of Super Bowl Sunday. Like if you have a 1-hour gap on Super Bowl Sunday, come in and watch our show. If you missed it on Saturday night, we will be talking about prop bets. We'll go through some of the trade dramas, including Myles Garrett, obviously requesting a trade out of Cleveland as well. Big news. We'll go through some of those prop bets. We'll talk about some potential in terms of like where teams are going next year as well. And come give us a watch. It should be a lot of fun.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Check out all the other shows, and I'll end it as always. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.